Welcome. My name is Valerie from Tools International Corporation, and I'm excited to be joined today here with two very talented automotive clay modelers, Mr. Lloyd Van den Brink from the United States and Mr. Akira Matsuda from Japan. So today we're having a discussion on the topic, Clay, a Universal Language. I'd like to hear what two experienced automotive modelers from opposite sides of the earth have to say about our common industrial automotive modeling. In addition to this discussion, they both prepared clay models for us, a clay model of what they imagine an electric vehicle might have looked like if it were designed in the 90s. First of all, can I have a self-introduction from Mr. Lloyd Van den Brink?
Sure. My name is Lloyd Van den Brink. Recently retired from Ford Motor Company after nearly 30 years. And throughout that career, I've done interior modeling, exterior modeling. I've done some digital modeling, milling, processing, sort of done a gamut. And then I was also a modeling manager of several studios and ended my career at Truck Studio at Ford.
私の名前は松田明です。1977年にトヨタ自動車に入社して外形モデルを主にやってきました。2010年あたりから少しマネジメントもやりましたけども、ほとんどがモデリングに携わってきました。以上です。
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say today. So we at Tools International are a company that loves clay. We love automotive clay modeling. So can you tell us what you love about clay modeling?
Well, clay modeling was my dream job. I love art. I love the creative process. And then when I had the opportunity to actually get paid for doing the things that I love, it was a dream come true. So.
僕がなんでクレイを好きなのかって、デザイン結構好きなんですよ。でデザインってあんまり理由も理屈もないじゃないですか。かっこいいって、それは別に理由も理屈もなくいいものはいいって皆さん思うじゃないですか。モデラーはそうじゃなくて、やっぱり理由や理屈を見つけながらモデリングしていくんですよ。こういうふうにしたら良くなるんじゃないか、そういうことを考えるのがすごく僕は好きなんですよ。その理由や理屈を考えるのが。だからクレイが私は好きなんだなって今思います。理由や理屈のないものを、理屈で作る、そういうプロモデラーでありたいっていうふうに私は思っています。
That's really great to hear. Thank you. So, being our topic today is Clay, a Universal Language, I'd like to hear your thoughts on how culture has impacted your personal design philosophy. Firstly, Lloyd, can you tell me a little bit about how you think culture shaped your personal design philosophy?
Well, I've had a varied cultural heritage. My parents immigrated from the Netherlands, as well as my grandparents. So I had that aspect of culture that influenced my life. I was born in Canada, so I lived there. And then we moved to the States, and I was in Michigan, and I was also in California, and I was also in Washington. So I did a lot of moving around, so I've seen a lot of different cultures in different regions. But I'd say the thing that affected me the most was really my grandparents, who really loved Scandinavian design and brought that over from the Netherlands. And I remember being in their house, and they just absorbed like a mid-century modern sort of aesthetic. And I've loved that. And that's affected me in terms of how I approach art and how I even make decisions. I do have a tendency to, when we have a design flaw, a colleague of mine will say, well, let's add this. And invariably I will say, how about if we subtract that? So I'm much more into subtraction, where other people are more in additive. And I think that's what affected the culture affecting how I work.
Thank you, Lloyd. How about you, Mr. Matsuda?
私ちょっとアプローチが違うかもしれないんですけど、造形って日本の文化でいうと習字と書道なのかなというふうに思ってます。バランスよく形を整えてきれいに描くっていうのが習字、それを覚えた後で書道 これは、字の形を少し崩しながらかっこいい形に、個性を出していくというようなことになるのかなというふうに思います。日本の文化でいうとそういうことかなというふうに思います。それと改善と、作り込みっていう言葉があるというふうに思うんですけど、モデル作りってやっぱり悪いところ、変なところを見つけてそこを改善を続けていく、それがすごく大事なことだというふうに思ってます。改善を続けて作り込んでいく、こういうところがやっぱりモデル作りとしては面白いとこかなというふうに思ってます。影響を受けたって言えばそういうところですかね。
That's great insight. Thank you. So as we all know, within the last decade, there has been rapid change in the design industry. We often get the question, is clay modeling defunct? Are we kind of towards the end of the era of clay modeling? So in the face of new digital design tools, what does modern clay modeling look like? And how might these tools impact the future of clay modeling and design?
Well, I think that I would want to push back a little bit. I do think technology really took off in the late 80s when we had a mill. So modelers used to have to balance a model taking points, and with the mill, they were able to make that balance very quickly. That greatly affected clay modeling. So you had the mill that came into play. Then the development technology of scanning became more and more prevalent in the industry. So the scanning would take a clay model and be able to transform that into a digital format. Then the digital became prevalent, where they can make alterations in the digital and then we can mill it out in clay. So there was a design loop, right? So there was from clay to digital to milling. And so we've worked digitally for quite a while. And so each area, whether it's clay modeling or digital, has advantages and disadvantages. And so you need to use whatever tool is best for the job in order to get it done. What's happening recently is that the digital modeling is becoming more and more advanced, and we have AI now that is coming into play. What I see AI doing is really providing more sketch models, more ideas, more upfront ideas that we can pursue. But I think some of the same processes are going to be there. I don't think that we will ever get rid of a physical model. So I don't think we'll ever get rid of the clay model. Part of the reason for that is it's like if you try and buy clothes on Amazon, you really need to touch the material. You need to, you're never quite certain that that is exactly what you want. I don't know if you've ever ordered anything and it came and you go, oh, this is not what I was looking. The same thing happens with a clay model and from the digital to a physical. Now the physical model may not be clay, it may be 3D printed or maybe something else, but we won't get rid of a physical model.
You're saying you need to interact with the model with, all of your senses.
Yes. Well, and I think that each has its place, right? The physical, the digital. The digital has a couple issues as well. And one is of scale and believability. Kind of what I was talking about. Is that really going to be what we're going to get? And the other is scale. We made scale models here. But if I scan those scale models, and I made it not rough like this, but I made it as best I could, and I blew that up full scale, it would look really cartoony. Same thing happens with digital. So the greatest digital modelers are ones that know they have to put a little bit more crown in or a little bit more lead in because they know that's going to look better when it gets milled out. But it's not what they see, right? So the digital is great for ideas and conceptual. Clay, I still feel, has much better at refinement and nuance.
So using only digital can make a good car, but it doesn't necessarily make a cool car. We still need that human touch, that human interaction.
ロイドさんが言ったみたいに、デジタルってざっくりは決めた方が早いかなというふうに思います。で、やっぱりモデルを作って そこで最終的な形を決めていくっていうのがやっぱりいい流れなんじゃないかなというふうに思ってます。デジタルとフィジカルの長所を使うということですよね。
We can use both together and we can use digital to speed up the process or accelerate the process. But the final step, maybe we'd still want to see a clay model. Can you describe what the interactions between the clay modelers and the digital modelers are like?
Well, I think that depends on the different studio that you're in, and probably different manufacturers use clay and digital differently. I know some studios will try and use a lot of digital and very little clay, or only use it as verification, right? Not in the design mode. But the best studios that I've seen that work just take what's the best of digital and use that. I have seen clay modelers who will go to the digital modeler and say, hey, can you make me a quick surface to put this in? And we'll mill it out real quick and then I'll work from that. So there's some interaction going on there between the digital and the physical.
デジタルモデラーとフィジカルモデラー、これは一緒にモデルを作った方がいいっていうのはそれは私も同じで、一緒の部屋にいた方が修正だとかデジタルの考え方フィジカルの考え方 お互いに語り合えるというか言い合えるのでね、それはそっちの方がいいのかなというふうには思いますけどね。ただ意見が違う場合が結構あると思うので、そういう時に相手の意見をどれぐらい聞けるか、人の意見をどれぐらい自分の中に取り込めるかっていうのがポイントになってくるのかなというふうに思いますね。絶対違うとかもう受け付けないようなデジタルとフィジカルが喧嘩をするようなやり取りはやめた方がいいかなというふうに思いますね。
Yeah, I mean, if I could respond to that, when you're doing digital, it's usually one person behind a computer that's doing it. When you have a clay model, that has a tendency to have a variety of people that can look at it at the same time and collaborate to come up with the best design. Designers don't have to do it all themselves on the digital, but they can work with a modeler and actually have some ideas and variations, which just makes for a better model in the end.
So you both prepared, you worked very hard and prepared some great models for us today. Can you both walk us through the intent of these models that you prepared? What was your vision for this 90s EV design?
EV ということで、言われたんですけどテーマがこれ EV ってどういう形が EV なのかっていうのは今もあまりはっきりしていないかなというふうに思ってました。その EV っていうところではあの当時まだ SUV が出だしの頃かなというふうに思いますけども、そういう SUV 系のプロポーションをちょっと作って EV を表現しました。であと90年代のアメ車をちょっとイメージしました。そこはですね断面でいうとちょっとそろばん断面っていうんですかね、上面と下面みたいなのと、あとここに一本線がドアを通ってると思うんですけど、プロテクターモールが車を一周してるっていうのが非常に多かった時代かなというふうに思います。あとはフェンダーラインがウェービー、要するに少しリアがキックしてたりっていうのが多かった時代で、あと後ろは少しダックテールにして、スパンとあんまり平面を丸くせずにスパンと切ったような車が多かったかなというふうに思って今回のこの車を作りました。
Any feedback or thoughts on what you thought about this?
It's a great rendering.
Were there any maybe differences in technique that you saw him apply that was new for you?
Well, to tell you the truth, I wasn't watching a whole lot. I was busy with my own. We only have a couple hours in order to put a sketch model together. But he's very methodical, and he's had much more modeling experience actually on clay than I have. So
more hands-on experience. All right, Lloyd, can you tell me a little bit about the model that you prepared today?
Sure. So I looked at the 90s, and I think in 92, which is right after I started at Ford, we did a concept vehicle, a Ford Ghia concept by Tairu Latte. And it's one of my favorite cars. And I guess the reason why I liked it so much is because it's so organic. It's a work of art, which this is not. That is just an unbelievable car. And I think that there was a shift between more of a boxy styles to more of curved. The probe came about that time, and so there was a hidden A pillar, D pillar. In '93, we did a concept car on the Mustang. We called it the Mach 3. Again, very organic, trying to get away from the boxiness, trying to be more modern. And so that's what I kind of went with.
僕も一生懸命作ってた時はあんまり見れてなかったので、今初めてですか、今見てる感じからすると、僕のよりも比べてもかなりやっぱり丸い、90年代って皆さん少し丸いイメージを持ってますよね。そういった意味では僕は少し丸みというところはあまり表現できてないかなというふうには思いますけど、90年代を表現するにはやっぱり丸みっていうのは一つ大事なものかなというふうに思いますけどね。
We just gave you both just a couple of hours to work on these models, but I think what you did accomplish was really great. Thank you so much.
本当疲れましたよ。
They look great. Can you speak on a little bit about your expectations or concerns for clay modeling in the future and clay modelers, future clay modelers? I think maybe we'll have a few people who are watching who are aspiring to be clay modelers like both of you. Can you talk about any kind of concerns or expectations you have for these people?
Yeah, so I think it varies a little bit with studio. Some studios are embracing still a lot of clay modeling, while others are not. One of my concerns with not including the clay modeling so much is that it becomes very linear. You go a long time with one model digitally, and then when it finally gets milled out, you go, oh, that's not right. And then they go back into the digital again and take a fair amount of time and then mill it out again. And I think that if it was more of a collaboration, it would go quicker in the end, or more refinement. So my fear for the modelers is that they just become mill operators and making verification models and not have any part of the hand modeling process.
僕の意見は、基本的には同じなんですよ。ただ、今から、僕らがやってきたクレイモデル造形っていうのは時間がかかったんですよね。僕らの時代はやっぱりクレイモデルを作るのはすごく面倒で大変だったんですよ。なので、構築っていうのをしっかりして無駄なことをやめましょうっていうそういうものだったと僕は思うんですよ。ただデジタルは当然今からどんどん使っていかなきゃいけないツールだというふうには思いますけど、デジタルは結構簡単に失敗できるところもあると思うんですよね。ここちょっと直そう、引っ張り出そう、ちょっと入れてみようっていうのをすごく簡単にできる。だからそれはすごくいいツールだと思う反面、そう考えてない人ばかりじゃないと思いますけど、そういうところがすごくおろそかになる場合があるのかなというふうに思います。なのでそこの部分で作る前に深く考えなくてもできちゃう、それで造形力がつくのかなっていうのはすごく心配なところはちょっとありますけどね。
So there are a lot of great university programs right now and training programs for automotive modeling. Is there something that you could tell a current student who's studying modeling, or a freshly graduating student looking to work as a clay modeler? Is there something you can tell them?
Well, the one thing that I would say to a new student is to be able to make decisions on what is good model and what is not a good model. AI is going to generate so many models, and there are going to be so many variables that people are going to get overwhelmed with choice. And the person that's going to succeed in either clay modeling or digital modeling is the person who can narrow down the choices and then develop and nurture that design to completion.
I think that's solid advice.
まあデジタルだろうがフィジカルだろうが今言ってるのはツールの話をしてるというふうに思うんで、やっぱり人がちゃんと作る、まあ将来的にも私たちの後輩がやってほしいのは、まあ、とにかく美しいモデル、かっこいいモデル、そこを目指してほしいなというふうに思います。まあなんか AI で作って OK ですよってまあそういうのもありかもしれないけど、そういう車もあるかもしれないけど、でも多分今から我々の後輩はやっぱりかっこいいな、美しいな、いいなこの車って思えるような車をまだ作ってくれるというふうに僕は信じてますけどね。
Just like with any kind of art or music or, movies, there's value in something that's human made, right? Do we really want a car that's made with so heavily with AI? Historically, car design has been about human touch by humans for humans. It has so much of our culture. It has so much of our inspirations. Isn't AI against the idea of crafting by hand?
ちょっと AI のデザインっていうのがどういうふうになるのかっていうのはちょっと私自身まだ実感がないんですよ。で AI で作ったモデルってみんなの心を打つんですかね。分かんないんですよそこが。うわいいなって思うかもしれないけど、いや魅力あるなってみんなそうやって思うんですかね。ちょっと僕はちょっとそこは想像できなくて、これから技術がもうどんどん発展していってどんどん上がっていくと、もうそういうモデルが本当にできるようになるんですかね、ロイドさん。
So AI is really good at generating ideas. And if you can get ideas quickly, then you have more time to develop them. So AI can be actually very advantageous. The issues with AI is that it's an algorithm that takes other things, right? So it may have a tendency to all start looking the same kind of thing, right? But generally speaking, it might have a real nice impact in terms of the number of designs you can do.
デジタルが出始めの頃になるのか15年か20年ぐらい前に僕新聞で見たことがあって、この車は CAD でデジタルで作りましたって書いてあったんですよ。デジタルを使うといい車ができますよみたいな広告が出てたことがあって、いや本当にデジタルで本当にいい車ができるのかってなると、今ちょっと世間一般的にはやっぱり手作りハンドメイドの方がいいでしょうみたいな流れが多分今あるじゃないですか。でそれも AI でも同じで、これ AI で作った車ですってお客さんに言って、お客さんそれ嬉しくて買うのかなっていうのは、僕はちょっとそういうの本当に欲しいのお客さんはあって、人が作ったやつの方が欲しくないのって僕はそんな風にちょっと感じるんですよ。ただ AI がサポートした車だったらいいけど、やっぱり AI がメインで作りましたって言われて買う方は嬉しいのかってちょっと僕はそこが不安なところでもあるんですけどね。どうなっちゃうのかなと思って。
I would say that AI is a tool of the designer more than anything else. It's a way of him to say, what is it that we want to build? I don't see AI building very well yet, right? I don't see that happening. So in my ideal world, I would have a very small studio with a designer, and he can use AI, and you have a modeler, and it could be a digital modeler to rough in a basic car. And then I think that you collaboratively work around clay to develop that nuance, that touch, the things that the human touch would be good at, and then finalize that model or design.
Yeah. So it's a tool for humans.
It is, just like computers are, just like the mill is. I think you have to use the best tool for the job. And so the question is, for AI, what is that tool good for? And what I see right now is it gives you ideas to develop a lot of ideas. But I don't see it in finishing the idea.
AI も全てデジタルも全てツールなんですよ。 人が使いこなすべきなのかな。同じですよ。
And AI may change a lot too, right? It may get into engineering, and the designer may be able to have all the hard points, and AI might be able to figure out new ways of configuring the internals of a car engine to fit a design. I mean, there is potential here for AI to work. So AI might be developing in the whole world of engineering as well. And may configure a car or be able to better analyze where things can be under the hood that allows the designer to do different designs than they have in the past. So there is possible places that can help the designer make a better model. The time will tell with what AI can and cannot do. In the end, though, it's the designer that needs to decide what he wants the vehicle to be, and then how he gets that to be what he wants. He may use digital tools, he may use clay modelers, he will use whatever tools he can in order to get that final concept to fruition.
So we at Tools International Corporation specialize in the manufacture and supply of clay modeling products for automotive design. This is a very niche field, but has and continues to play a huge part in the design of every car, almost every car that we see around our world. Both of you have worked as modelers and modeling managers for two of the biggest automotive companies in America and Japan, respectively. So we're really honored to have had you with us today for this discussion. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we'd like to thank you too, I think, for hosting us, and I had a great time making sketches.
Glad to have you guys.
いやデジタルのこといろいろ話してきましたけど、フィジカルをなくして本当にできるのかっていうのはすごく思いました。やっぱりデジタルも大事だけどフィジカルもやっぱり同じように大事だなっていうふうに感じました。
I completely agree. Thank you so much for your input today. Thank you.
Okay.
Yay!
Bye bye.
Bye.
We love clay.
We do.